A wife who trusts him completely, unaware that every mile brings her closer to death. He thinks the remote location will hide his crime. He believes the winter cold will finish what he started. But he has no idea that a truck driver has already spotted the abandoned car and pulled her from the edge of frozen oblivion. She is not just a victim. She is the woman who will expose every secret, survive the impossible, and bring his world crashing down with the force of an avalanche. What happens next is a story of ice, lies, and justice so sharp it cuts deeper than the winter wind. Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from. Drop a comment below. We love hearing from you. The last night of February in Montana carried a darkness that felt alive. Sarah Mitchell sat in the passenger seat, watching the highway disappear into blackness. Her husband, Daniel, gripped the steering wheel with unusual tension. His knuckles were white. His jaw was clenched. He had insisted they leave immediately after dinner, claiming his mother had fallen ill 3 hours north. Sarah had grabbed her coat without question, trusting the urgency in his voice. But now, as the headlights cut through the empty road, something felt wrong. Daniel had been distant for months. Late nights at the office, deleted text messages, a cologne she didn't recognize. Sarah had pushed the thoughts away, convincing herself she was imagining things. Tonight, though, the air between them felt heavier than the snow beginning to fall outside. The highway narrowed as they drove deeper into the wilderness. Trees lined both sides like sentinels guarding a secret. The lights of town faded behind them instead of ahead. Sarah's voice trembled as she asked why they were heading away from the hospital. Daniel's response was too calm, too practiced. He said this route was faster. He said the main roads were closed due to weather. His eyes never left the road. Sarah's stomach tightened. She reached for her phone, but Daniel's hand shot out and grabbed it from her palm. His grip was firm, almost violent. He said she needed to stay calm. He said checking her phone would only make her more anxious. Before she could protest, he powered it off and slipped it into his jacket pocket. The gesture was small, but it shattered something inside her. Fear crept up her spine like frost spreading across glass. The car slowed suddenly. Daniel pulled onto a narrow service road that disappeared into dense forest. Snow fell harder now, swirling in thick curtains that erased the world beyond the windshield. He stopped the car in a small clearing where the wind howled freely between the trees. The engine quieted. Silence pressed in from every direction. Sarah turned to him, confusion and terror mixing in her chest. Daniel stared straight ahead for several long seconds. Then he spoke. His voice was flat, emotionless, like a stranger wearing her husband's face. He said the car had overheated. He said he needed to check under the hood. He told her to wait inside. But before he stepped out, he did something that stopped her heart. He removed his wedding ring and placed it on the dashboard with deliberate slowness. The gold band caught the faint light from the console. Sarah opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Daniel stepped out into the storm. Snow rushed inside for a moment before he shut the door behind him. Through the frosted window, Sarah watched his silhouette move away, swallowed by the blizzard. No hesitation, no backward glance. Just a man walking into the darkness with purpose. Minutes passed. Long, suffocating minutes. Sarah tried to start the engine, but nothing responded. The dashboard stayed dark. The heater stayed silent. Cold seeped into the car like water filling a sinking ship. Panic clawed at her throat as she opened the door and stumbled into the storm. Wind slapped her face. Snow stung her eyes. She screamed Daniel's name once, twice, 3 times. The wind devoured every sound. There was no answer. Only the endless howl of winter. That was when Sarah understood the truth. She had not been stranded by accident. She had been abandoned with intention. She climbed back into the car, shaking violently. Her fingers fumbled toward the glove compartment, searching for anything useful. When she pulled it open, something fell into her lap. A phone. Not hers. Not Daniel's regular phone either. It was a second device she had never seen before. Her breath caught as the screen flickered to life. Messages filled the display. Dozens of them. The first one opened automatically. It was from someone named Claire. The message read, asterisk, tonight is perfect. The storm will cover everything. Asterisk. Sarah's hands trembled as she scrolled further. Each message drove a knife deeper into her chest. Asterisk, she trusts you completely. She won't suspect anything. Once she's gone, we can finally be together without complications. Make sure you park somewhere remote. No one can find her before morning. Asterisk Sarah's vision blurred with tears. She scrolled back to older messages, revealing months of planning. Hotel receipts, romantic photos, conversations about moving to Seattle together, about life insurance policies, about making it look like an accident. Daniel had not just betrayed her. He had calculated her death like a business transaction. Her chest tightened as she read the most recent message, sent minutes before they left the house. Asterisk, don't forget to disable the car. She needs to stay there until hypothermia finishes the job. Asterisk Sarah clutched the phone to her chest, sobbing. The cold pressed in from every direction. Her body shook uncontrollably. She understood now that she was fighting for her life alone in the frozen wilderness. The man she loved had tried to erase her existence for convenience. Then, through the storm, she heard it. The low rumble of an approaching engine. Her head snapped toward the sound, barely daring to hope. Marcus Chin had been driving freight routes through Montana for 20 years. He knew these roads better than most people knew their own neighborhoods. When his headlights caught the outline of an abandoned sedan buried in snow, every instinct told him to stop. He pulled his rig to the shoulder and climbed down into the storm. The driver's side was empty. But when he circled to the passenger's side and wiped frost from the window, his breath caught. A woman sat slumped in the seat, her lips blue, her body shaking weakly. Marcus smashed the window with his flashlight, reached inside, and unlocked the door. Her skin was ice cold. She was barely conscious. He carried her to his truck, wrapped her in heavy blankets, and cranked the heater to maximum. As warmth slowly returned to her body, Sarah's eyes fluttered open. She tried to speak, but her voice came out in broken whispers. Marcus told her to stay calm. He was getting her to help. As he drove toward town, Sarah's trembling hand reached into the blanket and pulled out the second phone. She handed it to Marcus with desperate urgency. He glanced at the screen while navigating the icy road. What he read made his jaw tighten with rage. Messages planning abandonment. Instructions for disabling the car. Conversations about life insurance payouts. Marcus immediately radioed the police, reporting attempted murder and providing their location. Sheriff Tom Reeves responded within minutes. By the time Marcus pulled into the hospital parking lot, 2 patrol cars were already waiting. Sarah was rushed inside, while Marcus handed the phone to Sheriff Reeves. The sheriff's face hardened as he read the evidence. He issued an immediate warrant for Daniel Mitchell's arrest. Across town, Daniel sat in a hotel room with Claire, celebrating what they believed was a perfect plan. They toasted with champagne, convinced the storm would erase all evidence. Then the television flickered with breaking news. Asterisk, local woman found alive after being abandoned in winter storm. Husband wanted for attempted murder. Asterisk, Daniel's glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. Claire screamed. They scrambled for their bags, but it was too late. Police surrounded the hotel within minutes. Officers kicked open the door. Daniel tried to run, but he was tackled to the ground and cuffed before he reached the window to the station. Sheriff Reeves confronted Daniel with the phone. Every message, every plan, every betrayal laid bare. Daniel's lies crumbled under the weight of evidence. He was charged with attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. 3 months later, Sarah stood in the courtroom. Her voice was steady as she testified about the night Daniel tried to kill her. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Daniel to 30 years in prison. Claire received 15 years as an accomplice. As Sarah walked out of the courthouse, the spring sun warmed her face. The snow had melted. The world felt clean and new. Marcus stood waiting near his truck, having driven down for the verdict. She hugged him tightly, thanking the stranger who saved her life. For the first time in months, Sarah felt the future open before her. The ice had thawed. Justice had been served. And she was finally freed. If Sarah's story moved you, if you felt her fear and celebrated her survival, please hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear a story about strength and survival. And subscribe, because stories like this remind us that even in our darkest moments, hope can still break through the cold. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.